everyone, it's Holly Mariki, and we are back with the Emblem Knights Rough Draft. So, let's just get started. We're on Chapter 6, Senior Advisor. So, I hear you hurt yourself again, Ray, John said as he sipped hot tea that Yuri had prepared for him. She was in the middle of cooking him a late dinner. Tell us why you really came, Ray said with a growl. Mr. Snores-a-lot has informed me that he just wants to meet with the 2 new emblem bearers, and that he wants the 6 of us to train them. John said. Absolutely not, Ray said. It's either that or he takes them, John said matter-of-factly. He sipped his tea. I could just see John. What should we do then? Ray asked. Daisuke shook his head, not wanting to open his mouth. I say we should train them, John said. Then what? As soon as we train them, he takes them away and puts them through the same things we went through, Daisuke asked. Unless, John said. Unless what? Yuri asked, from beside him. She held a plate of food by him and shook. She looked so helpless in the moonlight. Unless we defeat the ringleader of the catastrophes we faced 2 years ago, John answered, taking the plate from her hands. Ray stood and sat Yuri down, keeping his hands on the back of her chair. She could hear it splintering behind her. No, I won't do it. I can't do it, he said. John, is there any other way? Daisuke asked, desperate for any other choice. Ray, no, John said. He turned to Ray. Think about it this way. It's either Jack or Yuri and Joey. I can't choose. Are you insane? The chair broke from the pressure of his hand squeezing it. Jack was my best friend. There's no way I want him to die. What kind of chance does Yuri and Joey have? John said. Especially with Yuri. You know what happens to the girls that go to train, he said. Look, I know how important Jack is to you, but he's too dangerous. If someone doesn't stop him, he'll destroy the world. You don't understand. Yuri yelled suddenly as she stood from her chair. He might have a dangerous ability, but that doesn't mean you have to kill her. Her? The 3 men asked. Yuri gasped and covered her mouth. She quickly ran outside. Daisuke sighed. I'll talk to her. You two figure this out or go to bed and figure it out in the morning. Who's the leader here? Ray asked. And whose house are you in? Daisuke asked. Good point. We'll finish this before the senior advisor comes. Ray paused for a moment. We'll tell him that we will train them. And when they're ready, we'll go out and take care of Jack. We'll figure the Jack thing out when we come to it, won't we? John asked. Ray nodded. Great, I love surprises. One more question. Where do I sleep? Pick any room you like, Daisuke said just before he left the room. He didn't wait for an answer. Her, he asked Yuri again. Yuki, Yuri said. She was my twin sister. I know about the emblems because of it. Jack's ability is death, isn't it? Your sister's ability was death, Daisuke asked, coming out into the practice area to sit next to her. Yuri nodded sadly. How did she get her emblem so soon? The death emblem rears its ugly head when the person who has it experiences death, Yuri answered. She looked over at Daisuke. I don't care what happens to me, but don't let them get a hold of my brother. They will kill him too. Daisuke patted her shoulder. Don't worry. Ray will train you and take you to kill his Jack when the time is right. Yuri went to bed feeling more miserable than she had ever felt before. The next morning, Joey was playing his flute with John as his teacher. Look what I learned today, Yuri, he said excitedly. As he began to play his flute, a green vine began to work its way up to the ceiling. I love spelling. It's great. That's amazing, Yuri said as she rubbed the top of his head. Where's Ray? She asked John. He's out by the tree. You can't miss him, John answered. Yuri put her head down near John's ear so only he could hear. Be sure to delay the song of death for as long as you possibly can, she murmured, patting his shoulder. Okay? I'll do my best, John said as Yuri went out the door. She found Ray with very little problems because he sat beneath the very tree she sat under. So, I see great minds think alike, Yuri said. I think it's supposed to say she stood in front of Ray, but it says she stood in of Ray. She's not standing in Ray, I promise. He opened his eyes to look at her. Do you understand what I'm going through then? Ray asked, no longer concentrating on the birds. Yuri sat next to him with her knees up against her chest. My sister had an emblem of death on her when we were about 8. Joey didn't even get to meet her. They said she couldn't be trusted. They'd already had bad cases where the emblem of death had been disastrous. She looked over at Ray and shook her head. They told an 8-year-old girl that if she wasn't disposed of, she would kill everyone she loved. My parents didn't even look sad about it. They hugged her as though she would come back in a week or two. Is that what you argued with your dad about? Ray asked. Yuri nodded. He didn't want me to practice fighting because he was afraid I would end up like my sister. You could only guess what I said to him. You were right, you know. About what? Ray asked, not even opening his eyes. He kept his head up against the tree. Paranoia is your worst enemy. Yuri answered him. He looked over at her. Just look what happened to me when I learned about this ability. I was so afraid of it happening that I wasn't even ready for it when I learned about it. Ray looked at the ground. So, I wanted to thank you. He looked at her again. But I want to find another way to save him too. There has to be a way. No more innocent blood should be spilled. Without another word, Yuri stood and ran off. Ray showed up not too far behind her. Mr. Snorzalot is here, he said at the door. Thwack! Ow! You rubbed a bump for me on his head. That's senior advisor to you, mister, an old man said as he lowered his cane to walk in the house. Joey grabbed Yuri around the waist. Yuri, I'm scared, he whispered. Don't worry. Everything will be all right, Yuri told her brother. Looks like they still need to fear more than care for each other, the senior advisor said, marking on a piece of paper he had in hand. One of them is a girl. She's 16. What a waste. One is 8. This shows promise. The old man pointed at Yuri with his cane. Shall I rid you of that problem? Daisuke quickly took Yuri by the shoulders and led her towards John and Ray. That's not necessary, sir. We have decided to train her as well as her brother. Yes. Ray put himself in between Yuri and the senior advisor. Our decision is to train them and go fight and destroy Jack. Sir, what if they agree to train us but leave Jack out of this? Yuri asked. The old man was in her face with a blink of an eye. Then I will take Joey and leave you with Jack and make him part of it. Okay. Never mind, Yuri said quietly now. Excuse us, sir, but our group might take some time to get here, John said, getting Yuri away from him again. Joey was pulled towards her. Then you'll have to wait for them to arrive while you train these two, the senior advisor said, pointing his cane at Yuri and Joey. Just remember the rules, and if you even neglect one of our turns, I will take both of these children from you and throw Yuri to the others to train. That he was gone. All 3 of them sighed with relief. I think I'm missing something here. Why is he called Mr. Snorzalot? Yuri asked. The men laughed as they relaxed a little. He used to sleep all the way through study hall and detention, and even when he was in his office, the only time he was awake was when he needed to be, Daisuke answered. Wow. Well, that was the end of Chapter 6. On to Chapter 7, Training for Life. I promise it gets so much better when it is that to be the other thing. But, final draft, highlight. But yes, as always, I will put in the description below where you can buy this book if you'd like. Like I said, it is 10 times better in a final draft. Soon you will see. But yeah, anyway, hopefully I will see you guys next time. Bye!